Hi, this is Marla Blunt-Carter from Rutgers School of Social Work's Toward a More Just Future. During my time with Sarah McBride, I asked a few questions that didn't make our episode. Here is a rapid fire with State Senator McBride. Okay, Sarah, let's start our rapid fire questions. What is your proudest achievement?
I think to this day, my proudest achievement remains passage of the state's transgender rights non-discrimination law. It was my formative experience in advocacy. It is the experience that I draw on today for how to advocate and for the fact and the reminder that change remains possible.
Well, what was the hardest thing you've ever done?
The hardest thing I've ever done was serving as a caregiver to my husband, Andy, during his battle with cancer. That was without question the most formative experience of my life, and both the most tragic and the most beautiful experience of my life, especially the last month of his life when we were able to marry.
So, who do you admire?
There's so many people. But I think that the person who comes to mind, and I'm so excited that I had the opportunity to meet him when he was still alive, I know you have as well, is John Lewis, someone who demonstrates that you can be progressive, you can fight for meaningful structural change, and you can still be a figure that brings people together and builds bridges. You can be a joyful warrior.
Yes, you are definitely an example of always getting into good trouble. In one word, what motivates you?
What motivates me? Trite, but youth and posterity.
Okay.
Future generations.
Okay. I love your interpretation of one word.
Sorry. I'm a politician, right? Youth.
What is your favorite book?
My favorite book is actually Team of Rivals by Doris Kearns Goodwin about Abraham Lincoln's cabinet. I think it's one of the most incredible books on leadership that I have ever read. His ability to, his confidence, his ability to bring people around the table who have very different perspectives, who have competing interests and ambitions, but actually to bring together those different competing interests and move forward as one.
Okay. So what's currently on your playlist? What are you listening to?
Oh, this is embarrassing. Two things. Taylor Swift's latest albums.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've seen Bridgerton, but I'm like really into the orchestral, like the orchestral versions of contemporary music that they use. So I've been listening to that soundtrack.
It's absolutely amazing. I've watched the whole season twice.
And it's so good.
And you're right. The music, trying to figure out what song that is as they're playing it in that version is very entertaining.
It's so true.
My last question, what's the greatest lesson you've learned, and who or what taught you that lesson?
The greatest lesson I have learned is that hope as an emotion only makes sense in the face of hardship, and that all of us, in times of difficulty, in times of hardship, in times of tragedy, can bear witness to acts of amazing grace. I learned that in the last month of Andy's life, and I think it's summed up so well in Mr. Rogers' quote about how when he was younger and he would see something scary on the news, his mother would tell him to look for the helpers. And that is a mindset, that is a perspective that I learned in my own life, and I try to bring with me to everything I do. Well,
you are definitely one of the helpers. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your authenticity. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Marla. It's always a pleasure to be with you.